Okay, Mesachta Sanhedrin of Samachay Amar Al. We're starting with the Mishnah. So we're going to stay additional cases where these for these Averis Yichayv Skila, Bal Oiv Zeh Pisaim Habedab Mishech Yoi. What is a Bal Oiv? This is a Machashiv that brings up the spirits, and the spirits speak from under his armpits. V'yidoini Zeh Habedab Bepiv. V'yidoini is a kishuv. So Rashi says he takes a bone from a chaya that's called yadua. A chaya, either it's a bird or a chaya, and he puts it in his mouth, and then it starts speaking and tells you the future, whatever. Areilu b'skila. These two cases, Bal Oiv and Yudayni, it's chayiv skila. No, they don't have to be mechashvim. Yeah, why? Of course, there's ways to bring the tumah to themselves. We'll learn later. And somebody who asks from a oiv or from a yidayni, tell me what's going to be in the future. If the one that's asking the oiv and the yidayni is a lav, the one that does the kishuv is chayiv skila. Zog the Yimad, Maishna hachdiktani bal oiv yidayni. Why over here now, Mishnah, we learn both bal oiv and yidayni are chayiv skila. Well, Maishna, and why is it different when it comes to Masechta Krisus? Gabi chiyuvi krisus diktani bal oiv. And he left out Yudayni. Why? In our Mishnah he says Oiv Yudayni Chayiv Skila. Why don't you say by the Lavin also? So the Gemara brings down Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says because the Mishnah in Krisus is only counting the Lavim that even if you do it Behelam Echad with one awareness, you're still going to be Chayiv for each Kishu. But when it's Oiv Yudayni, Rabbi Yochanan says it's one lav. Then Torah says Oiv Yudayni has one lav. So therefore, if you did it with one unawareness, and you did Behelam Echad, and then you found out you're only going to be chayiv for one, and there the Mishnah enumerates 36. He says there are 36 kisba Torah, and then he tells you all the avedas hashteitzach, and then he goes to the lavim. But if you do all the lavim together as one, then you're going to be chayiv for each and every one. So it's 36. But if you're going to say Oiv Yudayni is chayiv separately, then it should be 37. So Rabbi Yochanan says it's one. So okay, that's why he didn't count Yudayni, because the emphasis of the Mishnah, or the chidush that the Mishnah wants to bring out, that even though you did it behelam achas with one unawareness, all the 36, you'll be chayiv for each and every one. And you couldn't do Oiv Yudayni because Oiv Yudayni you're only going to be chayiv one. You can't say you're going to be chayiv for each one because there's only one. Ishlakish says the Mishnah Krisus, why did they leave out Yudayni? Lefi shein by Maisa, because it's a lav shein by Maisa, and then you don't get malchus, you don't bring a chatas. It says, huh? Yeah, we just said in the Mishnah, Yudayni is he takes the bone of the bird or chaya and he puts it in his mouth. Sagt die Rabbi Yochanan oder Rabbi Yochanan Maishna bal oiv the knockout. According to Rabbi Yochanan, you're saying oiv and Yudayni are on the same level, right? Either one, but if you do both of them together, you chayv one lav. But it doesn't make a difference between oiv and Yudayni. Why did you pick oiv? Why did the Mishnah pick Yudayni? Sagt die Mishum the pas mekra, because the Torah constantly always starts off with oiv. Wherever you see, he brings down from. Which one comes first? Oiv musketchila. The one of Oiv is mentioned first. So the Gemara, Reish Lakish, my time in Layam Rabbi Yochanan. Reish Lakish, why doesn't he say like Rabbi Yochanan? The reason why he left out Yudayni, because the Mishnah wants to bring out that you're going to be chayiv for each aveda separately, but when it's Oiv and Yudayni, it's only one.
No, because said because
he says ain't by mice. Why doesn't he learn like Rabbi Yochanan? Right. I mean, Papa. What's the sweater? What are they arguing about? Why does one hold the Yudayni together is only one lav, and the Yishlakish will hold no? It's only because lav shein by Maisa. But mitzad lavin, if it was a lav, if let's say it was a lav shein by Maisa, you would be chayiv too. Why? So he says, Amar Papa chaluk nehem b'misa. Papa said, Oiv Yudayni. According to the Shlakish, since when it comes to Shkila the Misa, he says the lashon isha ki behem oiv, and you know what the next word is? Oi yidoni. So he counts it as two separate. Mamish and the puzzle is two separate. Moizu masu ba'avet. So sins. So Reish Lakish says sins by misa it's separate as separate. It's stated separately. Even though when it comes to the lav it says oiv v'yidoini, doesn't say oiv, but it says we go according to the misa part. And if the misa is something that the misa yochayv skila. So b'shegig, if it's b'shegig, you chayv achatas, and it's each one, and it's determined according to how it was by skila. It was two separate ones. Rabbi Yochanan says
the
no.
reason that it doesn't mention is because it's same by Maisa.
Because it's same by Maisa. Rabbi Yochanan, but he holds if it's yes by Maisa, he would be chayv for both. Rabbi Yochanan chaluk the lav shma chaluka. Rabbi Yochanan says and the mis lo shma chaluka. Rabbi Yochanan says listen. What makes it as two separate avedas by lavim? Only if by lav it says it as oiv oyid oini. Doesn't say that. By the lavim, when it comes to state the lav, it says oiv v'yid oini. So since he puts oiv v'yid oini together, he says that determines what? Shmo chaluka. Only if if the Torah would have separated oiv and the lavim of oiv and yidoni, that would be called chaluka. But it's not how it was. The Misa to rely because by Misa it's said separately. That's not going to determine it for a lav that it should be considered as separate. No, by lav it was put together. It's together unless the Torah separates them by lav also. So he says to rely on Misa lo yishma chalukah. It doesn't make it a chalukah by the lav, and you're going to be chayiv only for one. But being that by a lav it says that oiviyadoni has one. Rabbi Yochanan, my time in Lamed Reish Lakish. So Rabbi Yochanan, why doesn't he learn like a Reish Lakish? That it should be totally in Misa. He says it's totally in Misa. Being that the Torah is separated by Misa, Oiv, Oyedoni, that should determine that for the Lavin, it's considered as two separate Lavin, and even if it's done together, it should be Chai for each and every one. I'm sorry. Why didn't he left? Sorry, I didn't. That's not what he was asking. He was asking why doesn't he say the reason why he left out Yidoni? Because Yidoni is a lav shein by Maisa. Why didn't he say that's the reason? So Amalach is going to say Masnis Nekrisas.
Because the first part is because it says oy first. It's not like a legitimate sort of reason. More of a reason if it's not a Maisa, it's a starke zach.
No, this time it says oy first was a different. It had nothing to do with the machlokes. They were asking Rabbi Yochanan.
What is Rabbi Yochanan's time?
Rabbi Yochanan makes no difference between Oiv and Yudayni.
There's a functional question.
Huh?
The difference if you're talking from your mouth and you're doing like this, so what's the difference?
Right.
One's
So,
a mice and one's a diva. One's not a mice.
oh, so we're gonna get into that. That's the whole Gemara today. But right now, the Gemara is saying
He has to put it underneath.
no.
So he
One
has to open
second.
his mouth and talk.
No, he doesn't put anything underneath. It's the spirit he brings up to underneath. Anyway, your thing about Oiv being mentioned first in Rabbi Yochanan. He says once you already determine Oiv and Yudayni is the same.
What
If
is
you
it?
do-
Rabbi Yochanan, Hayel v'shnei b'lav echad. So what does that mean?
That since they were both said as together as one lav, so that's why if you do it with
then we ask
Halamacha,
why he
then
picks one and then the
why
other.
does he pick one over the other? That's it. Yeah.
That's a separate thing.
Amalach Masnisen, why Taka doesn't he learn like Reish Lakish that Yudayni wasn't mentioned because it's a lav shem by Maisa? Amalach Rabbi Yochanan will answer Masnisen Krisis Rabbi Akiva. The Mishnah of Krisis follows Rabbi Akiva, and that says by Megadif Yechayiv Krisis Yechayiv Eskila. The Amar Lo Beinu Maisa. He says you don't need Maisa if somebody's Megadif Betos B'Shegig. Then he's Chayiv Achatas, even though it's a lav shem by Maisa. Megadif is just Dibur. So that's why Rabbi Yochanan said that's not an answer to lav shem by Maisa. He holds like Rabbi Akiva that you chayiv even by lav shem by Maisa. But Reish Lakish, nehi deloi by Rabbi Akiva Maisa Rabba. Reish Lakish will answer you. Rabbi Akiva. He says, yeah, Rabbi Akiva. You're right. Holds even the lav shem by Maisa, but he says not shem by Maisa klal, shem by Maisa Rabba. That it doesn't have a Maisa Rabba, it's still going to be considered a lav sheish by Maisa. Maisa zuti bay, but you need at least a little Maisa. And so Megadiv, so in fact, okay, so he says you need a little bit of a Maisa. In fact, Megadiv by Maisa, where did Rabbi Akiva say is din? By Megadiv. By Megadiv, b'shegi yichai v'chatas. Even though it's a lav shem by Maisa, he just said words, Says you want to know it's words is akima smasov. He had to move his lips. Every Maisa, that's a Maisa. Bal Oiv, my Yaisa, you can buy Bal Oiv. Bal Oiv, there's no Maisa. He doesn't take nothing. Bal Oiv, he just brings up the spirit and he brings it to the armpits. That's it. So there's no Maisa whatsoever. So what's why Maisa is there by Bal Oiv? So everything you want to know, there is Hakoshas Zerayis of having a Maisa. In order to make the spirit to talk, he had to, like a chicken, not get up. Yeah. Now, if you look at Rabbanan, says, is this right? Even according to Rabbanan, the Shakish holds and argues with Rabbi Akiva. I'm sorry, even the Rabbanan who argue Rabbi Akiva by Megadif, will he hold by Oiv? It's considered as a Maisa, and the halacha will be that it's that you'll be chai v'chatas. But Tanya, we learned in the Brayso when the gay David David is b'shegeg. Ein chai v'ladav sheish by Maisa. Kigoin zibuach, kitu v'nisuch v'ishtachava. You have to have an actual Maisa that's connected with a third thing. While you're taking, let's say each one, zibuach, you're shechting an animal. Kitu, you're burning fats. Nisuch, you're doing libation with water. V'ishtachava. But what is v'ishtachava? I mean, ishtachish man tana ishtachava. Who said about ishtachava? Rabbi Akiva, it's Rabbi Akiva. Dama loy being a Maisa. Rabbi Akiva says you don't need a Maisa in order to be chai v'chatas. Bowing. What's that Maisa? He learns that Maisa means when you're doing with a third thing. You do with you're shechting a carbon. You're burning fats. You're pouring wine. Ishtachava is your body. You're just bending. It's nothing. So if you want to see, he brings it down over here. לפי זה נראה שהמייס שאין חפץ אחר מאורבוי ואין בו אלא הקימס פוסיים או הנועס איבורים נחשב מייס קטן is considered a small מייס גדול נחשב how שאדם מייס בחפץ אחר יגוי נקטורס קטורס or Yaakov's carbon, he's bringing an animal, but something, another thing involved with it. Oh, so Megadif, Rabbi Akiva says, the Rabbanan argue. Rabbanan said, you're not chayiv. Oh, the Gemara will say, but bald fragen was gesagt. 1 minute. We're jumping already. So says the Gemara, so what do we see from here? So Rabbi Yochanan Amma, Afilu Tamer Rabbanan, you can even say, so we asked who's the Tana, because we know when the Mishnah mentions that Machlekes or Rabbi Akiva the Rabbanan, he counts between the 36 kisus Megadif Ubal Oiv, and the Chachamim only argue by Megadif. They say Megadif is not going to be Chai v'chatas. It's not a Maisa, but Ubal Oiv is you just confirm. It's also not a Maisa, right? So if it's not a Maisa, they should be arguing also on Oiv. So he's trying to tell you.
It should be 35.
Huh?
It should be only 35.
It should be 35, yes. Or 34. He doesn't count 36 there. I'm going to go to 35 inside Megadif. And if it should be 34. Says the Gemara, Mantana, who said the Ishtachava? Rabbi Akiva. Damen loy being a Maisa. Rabbi Yochanan afilu temer abonan. Kfifas koimasei. The actual bending, his posture, Rabbanan having Maisa is considered as a Maisa.
Depends if you fit or not.
Huh? Yeah. Sagt die Mutter, yeah. Hashlo yeshakish kvifis keimasa leRabbanan havi Maisa. Then Akash Zayisam Valev havi Maisa. Now, so the Gemara finishes his kasha. According to Rabbanan, it should be chayiv, because if bending one's posture is not considered as a Maisa, right? Then the clapping with his thing shouldn't be considered as a Maisa. So how do we say that Afilu Rabbanan by Oiv he'll be chayiv, because Hakash the zoyos of the smacking of his elbow into his side, that makes it a Maisa. L'chayda, it should be just like Kfifas Kavish Ishtachaba, which is not a Maisa. And the Rabbanan says it's not a Maisa, so Hakash zoyos shouldn't be a Maisa. So how do you say, even according to Rabbanan, he'll be chayiv because it is a Maisa? It's a Maisa. It says you want to keep coming to Shlakish. Nami le Rabbi Akiva. Reish Lakish only said it according to Rabbi Akiva. But they weren't saying it. Reish Lakish says according to Rabbanan, it's not a Maisa Taka. You're not chayiv. How could you say according to Rabbanan you're not chayiv? We're back to square one. If he's not chayiv, then it should have been 34. Why are you saying the Rabbanan only argue by Megadif? They're arguing by Balav as well. It should have said that the Rabbanan are excluding from Krisus Megadif and Ubalav. Why does it just say Megadif? So Ula says it's a new pshat. Oiv is not like we learned. He says I disagree with the pshat that Rava gave. Rather, the pshat is Ula says a new pshat. What's the pshat? The Balav goes and he burns ketores to the shed. One second, he's jumping, and therefore the Rabbanan don't argue because the Balav is a Maisa. In fact, the Balav Rava mekatel l'shay. It's David Avodah Zarah. It's not witchcraft. It's Avodah Zarah. Yeah, so you're burning ketores to Hashem. Rava said he's not being mekate als agot. B'mekate, he's burning lechaber to bring the spirits of Oiv. He brings the shed towards him. He summons the shed to him through kishuv, through this ketores, and that's what he's doing with the Oiv. He's bringing the Oiv in order that the spirit should talk. So he's bringing the shed. But he did a mice. That's what he's saying. That's why the Rabbanan didn't exclude Balav. Balav is a mice. So Abaye said, somebody who does burning in order to attract the shadim through kishav chayv chava. That's called chayv chava. That's already mentioned. The chayv chava is not krisus. It's not one of the krisus. You said oiv is krisus. Is one of the amongst the krisus. Chayv chava is just malchus. So how could it be that he says he's maktik ketores to bring closer the shadim, exactly like we said. Yeah. So why does the Mishnah say it's chayiv skila?
So that's not oiv.
It's not oiv. It's chayiv chava. Says in. But oiv is chayiv krisis. V'atayra amra chayiv zeh. If he's doing this chayiv in order to get the spirits to talk, so he's using it to make it into kishuv, to help him with his kishuv. Then it's biskila. Then he gets skila. Chayv chava stam to attract shadim, stam the velta. Okay. Here he's doing it no purpose. That's chayv chava. We're going to learn. He does kishuv to bring a whole bunch of animals together, or or sometimes he wants to get the animals away from the city to bring them outside the city. We're going to learn about it soon. So he does it just to get out of the city. So Kolzman, it's not a sakana, Ya'ira Malchus. If it's a sakana, these chayas are chasing you, then you're allowed to do the what do they call it, incantation, whatever, the kishuv, to get it out because it's chasing you, to get it away from you. So you're allowed to do it. So Zakti Maratoni Habanim, it says Lo Yimatzmecha Chayve Chaver. Echat Chaver Gadol, Echat Chaver Katan. Sai, if he does the to gather big chayas, lions with bulls and elephants and bears, yeah. And sai cotton that he gathers shkotzim or mushroom to the lachash, and even snakes and scorpions. Abaye said, one who brings a bee together with a scorpion through lachash, through saying the abakadabakadu, afagav, the kamakavan, the loylisko, even though his intention is that they should kill each other because they shouldn't harm what? They shouldn't mazik others, the loylesko. Afagav, the kamakavan, the loylesko, afapishu mecham shaloy yaziku, they shouldn't do harm to the other people. It's here he says the Hainu Shoy says Kadesha Yahar goes as that. Look in 38. He brings it down that the purpose of it is that they should kill each other and not harm the people. But he says B'mikra She'enam Ratz Machrav. That's only in the case where they're not chasing you. Aval Ratz Machrav Muter Lilchish Mishum Pikuch Nefesh. But if they're chasing you, these animals or whatever it is, you're allowed to use the lachash, yeah, the witchcraft. So Rabbi Yochanan, what's the difference? The krifis mikoymase, when he bends his posture, it's considered as a maisa. By Megadif, If somebody is cursing Hashem with his mouth, lo yavi ma'isa. What's the chilik?
Who's he listening? According to the Rabbanan.
According to the Chachamim made a difference. Hishtachava, you are chayiv misa, but when it's Megadev, I'm sorry, chayiv achatas b'shoigeg, and by Megadev you're not chayiv achatas. Why by Megadev you're not going to be chayiv achatas? You say because it's nishke ma'isa, it's a lav shem by ma'isa, but when it comes to Hishtachava, you say he's going to be chayiv achatas. Right? We said before.
Have we touched Megadev? He does what?
He curses Hashem. He curses Hashem's name. Okay.
He takes a lot of koiches.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that soon. Amar Rabbi, Shiny Megadev. Megadev is different. Why it's not considered as a Maisa? Hayo b'yeshna balei. Because the Aveda is be'ikar the heart, what the heart is thinking. So therefore it's not a Maisa. It's not a Maisa, and that's why you're not. He's not doing anything. The main part of it is that his heart is to against Hashem, to curse Hashem.
He's saying words. He's saying words.
He's saying words, but the main thing is where his heart. Yeah, but where his heart is. Megadev in Chayil Chatzanum King. He's scaving. He had the full attention. No, he speaks out. But if he spoke out and he was mechaven to curse Hashem, he spoke out. You know, people just say the G. They keep on using the Getchke's name. Yeah, all these things, they don't mean what they're saying. They're not being mechaven. Here, somebody who's mamish mechaven, that's Megadev. So the ik is belev. So therefore, it's not considered as a Maisa. But by Yishtachavot, it's a Maisa. Maisa Ketana, it's a Maisa. Most Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera has Takash from the following Braisa. Yatsu Edom Zemimim. Edom Zemimim went out. And of course, we know what Edom said. First, Edom testified. Second, Edom said, "How could you testify this day, this hour, this day, this hour? You were with us elsewhere." This is above the Mises. So that Mas isn't like Hashazama. We do exactly what they intended to do, what the first Edom wanted to do to the Nidai. So, in fact, the Gemara, the shame by Maisa, there is no Maisa. It's just words. They're testifying. They're testifying that these first Edom were with us. Why? Why are they going to be chayiv? So we said Yatzu Zem. They excluded Zem Shein by Ma'aser. There's no Ma'aser. From Chatas, from Chiyav Chatas. Why should they be excluded from Chatas? There, the Iker, they said words. Saying words is a Ma'aser. But why by Megadev you consider it as not a Ma'aser because the main thing is in the heart. But over here by Hidden Zayim, it's not the heart. They're just talking. There's no heart here. They're saying over facts. Whatever they're saying, that's what it is. Edom Zayin is different because the koil, the hashmas koil that they're saying, the voice that they're using is not a ma'isa. He says, he says just using a voice. To hear the voice before Bezin. And since a koil is aimed by mamish, so it's allowed aimed by ma'isa.
So you don't get nothing.
So they don't, for shaking, they're not going to be chayv achatas. A koil Rabbi Yechon is not a ma'isa. Well, it's when we learned a machliks of amaroyim, chasama bekoil. There's a din when the behemoth is threshing the floors. It's working. You're not allowed to close its mouth to stop it from eating. What's if he didn't use a physical muzzle? He gives a and the animal stops eating. He stopped the animal from eating from the screaming. So the animal doesn't eat while it's threshing. Is he chayiv for chasima, for muzzling the mouth? Or ben higo b'koil? Let's say there were two different minimum animals, and he wanted another animal to go with the other animal, which was kilayim. He wanted he should pull together with the other animal. So he screamed on the animal that they should work together. That the two animals should work together. That's Indian from Kilayim. And he used this code. Rabbi Yochanan Chayiv. He's Chayiv Malchus for screaming because he stopped him from eating with giving a scream. That was the first one, Chasima. And it's also for Kilayim, the same thing. He used this coil to make that the charisha should be done with two different minim behemoths. by the scream, he made the other behemoth, which is not its min, work with another behemoth, which is not its min, which is kalayim. And Rabbi Yochanan says it's Chaim Malchus for that. Reish Lakish says Amar Potter. So you see, Rabbi Yochanan says it's Alav Sheyesh Bei Maisa. Because why would it be Chaim Malchus? Alav Sheyesh Bei Maisa doesn't get Malchus. Obviously, it's considered as Alav Sheyesh Bei Maisa. So Elam Rabbi says Shiny Adam Zengman. Adam Zengman is different. Hayol B'Yeshnam B'Re'iyah. The Ikechiyuv comes to see. They testified. They saw. The ikhi is that on what they had seen is what makes the verdict. They say this is what we had seen. These people, we saw them here, not they're telling they were there. We saw them in another place.
What does it do? What does it do?
So the ear is not a ma'isa. We try to say because of koil it's not a ma'isa. Says you what do you mean koil is not a ma'isa? Rabbi Yochanan says befeidish koil, but it stops an animal from eating while it's threshing the floor. Is considered as a ma'isa. Yichai malchus. If it wasn't a Maisa, Lav Shem Mei Maisa, you're not Chaim Malchus. And Rabbi Yochanan says he gets Malchus. Obviously, Koil is a Maisa. So what's your answer? He says it's not the Koil. By Adam Zayman, the Ik is the Re'iyah, is the seeing. The testimony is what makes the verdict. So if the Ik is Re'iyah, it is Nishke Maisa. It's not a Maisa.
You have to see that the Edom were added.
I'll tell you, yeah. Sagt, you want to tell you, I'm let Nabraisa. Bal Ibzam, Adama Ben Aprokim. Balav is somebody who speaks between the joints. He uses his joints. Either he uses the armpit or the over here or wherever there's joints. That's where he uses. Yid'oni Yadua. Yid'oni is somebody who takes from a chaya called Yadua, a bird, befiv into his mouth, and he speaks, and the bone speaks on its own. Mesa, affecting Akasha, you're saying, where's the voice coming from? From the shechi, from your armpit. It says, it says by oiv, it will be like oiv, that the voice comes from the ground. And you said it's coming from his armpit. My love, the mishtoy ki urche, that the mace is speaking from under the ground. That's how it's being done. It says, the salik for Yosef, it comes up and it sits bein aprokim. It sits by one of his joints, and that's where he speaks.
He gets the mace to come up from the ground?
Huh? Yeah, he gets the mace to come up from the ground. You're going to ask me, but the voice is so low, right? We'll soon get to it. Toshma, come in here, and I'll bring you a raya from the following pasuk in Shmuel. Let me see where he says that. 15? Oh, no, he says, and that's why the sound is so low. Says you want to know it comes from the joints. Why is the sound so low? Rashi says, is because there's no chayas. He's dead, so he speaks very slow. There's no chayas there. So the Gemara Toshma coming here, and I'll bring you a raya from the following pasuk in Shmuel. El Shol, Elikim Raisi, Olam in Haaretz. I have seen a godly person come up from the ground. My love, the Mishtoi Kiruche, that the mace was speaking Kedarka because he came out from the ground. So here's a whole story. I can tell you in short. Okay, the story with it was with Shaul HaMelech. Plishtim were coming to attack him. So Shaul HaMelech killed out all the Oivei Yedonim. He killed them out. No more Oivei Yedonim. So he went to the Nevi'im. He went to the Koyanim Levi'im to ask the Choshen. He couldn't get an answer if he should fight with the Plishtim or not. It was terrible. So Shaul said, okay, I have to resort now to Oivei Yedoni. Sakana, he was allowed. Because Mamish was Sakanas Nefashis. He's going to war and a lot of people will die. He wants to know, should he go to war? So he sent his men, go find some Oivei Yedoni. And they found a woman. And he came dressed up like a regular person with two other people. He says, we need you to bring up a soul over here. He says, what are you, crazy? Shaul HaMelech is going to kill me. He killed out all the Oivei Yedonim. I'm afraid this is a setup. He says, he swears, Shaul HaMelech told him, he swears nothing will happen. Okay, he was so convincing, she went and she says, who do you want to bring up? She says, Shmuel Hanav. So she does hocus pocus. Shmuel Hanav, he treiselt sich, and he comes with his head up. Usually, if it was an unrespected person, by any person who would come up with its feet. Here Shmuel HaNavi came with his head up, and Shmuel HaNavi was saying, and right away she says, "You're Shoah Melech." So she says, he says, "How do you know?" He says, "Because they never come up with the head up. If he came up with the head up, he knew, Shmuel HaNavi knew you were a king. You are Shoah Melech. What are you going to do to me?" He says, No, I promised you. Let's go." He tells Shmuel HaNavi was with somebody else with him. He tells Shmuel HaNavi, "Should I go to war or not?" Shmuel HaNavi says, "Because you didn't get rid of Magig and the Amalekim and the behemoths, you're finished." And Taka Kachava, it tastes like the Girisim Kriya, he knew he's gone. And he killed himself before they could kill him, the enemies. The Plishtim Taka won that war. Who was the other person with him? He brought Moshe Rabbeinu with him. Because he was afraid he's being gemishbet. But Bezen Shamayla, because of his kids, he didn't know. So gleich hat gesagt, Moshe, you'll be my aide. I never went against the Kalaterikol. Okay, this is a story. I mean, I taught it in class, so I'm telling you over what I learned as a teacher. Okay, so no, he should be his toyin, his lawyer. Okay. So says it seems like that Shmuel HaNavi came up the normal way. I mean, and he spoke normally. It says the Yas Ben Aprakim. She brought up the spirits to herself and Mishtoy, that's how he spoke. What is a Baloiv? Sai brings the spirits on his male if bris. Or Sai he is by a skull. If he sees a skull, that's Zeichet Oiv. What's the difference if he has a skull or by the spirit on his armpit? When he brings up the spirits and he brings it on his bris, then it doesn't come up the normal way. He comes up with the feet first. And it doesn't come up on Shabbos. A chutz, if it's a king, it'll come up the other way, like we said in the story with Shmuel, came up the regular way because Shoah Melech, he was going to this. Somebody who asked by the skull, then the spirits, he comes up the normal way, Shabbos, and he also answers on Shabbos. What do you mean? What do you mean by his skull? Where he's lying there before you. Don't say Oila means he answers. He answers straight, and he answers even on Shabbos, because the skull is not coming up from any way. You're talking about the skull is lick nothing. So what does it mean? It's oina kedarkei, and it's oina b'Shabbos. So v'av she'ila zu shol turnus rufus. Rabbi Akiva turnus rufus was a gefal charasha, and he asked Rabbi Akiva many questions, and he says, "Amalei my yom why is Shabbos different than the other days?" Amalei, Rabbi Akiva says, "What is? Why are you better than any other person?" He's Amalei. So turnus rufus said to Rabbi Akiva, "The money tzavli." Because my master, Adrian, what do they call Caesar Hadrian at that time, Adrian said that he wants me as in this high position. Says the Gemara. So Rabbi Akiva says, Shabbos Nami, the Maritzovi. So to the Shabbos. David Shtavil who says it and he wants it. Amalei, so he said to Rabbi Akiva, this is what I meant to say. Me gave me the Hidna Shabbos. Who says today is Shabbos? How do you know it's Shabbos today? Amalei, so Rabbi Akiva says, Nahar Sabbatien Yechiach. Sabbatien was, on Shabbos you couldn't travel there, because the stones were flying. So if you go to the river Sabbatin today, you'll see you can't cross the river Sabbatin because it's Shabbos and the stones are flying. So the mother, I'm sorry, no, Shabbos it's not flying. It's not.
Oh, today.
So you see, you go any other day, you'll see you won't be able to travel. It's only Shabbos. And if you do travel to the other side, they'll arrest you. They'll be Mechad Yomisa. There's a whole story with Reb Meir from the. Okay, we'll go to that at a different time. So the Gemara, so I'm like, you see from the Hasabat, Baloiv Yechiach says the Gemara, Baloiv, today, Mason cannot come up. Kivish al Aviv. So he says also Baloiv Yechiach, that means that today you cannot, Mason will not, you can't bring up Mason from the ground. Just like in Sabbatia, the stones don't fly, Baloiv doesn't work. On Shabbos. Kivish al Aviv, he says Baloiv Yechiach. How do you know Baloiv you can't bring up on Shabbos? He says Kivish al Aviv. Because even the cave of your father, Yechiel will prove Shabbos. Smoke was coming out every day because of his father. I think his father was Nebuchadnezzar. Let me see. to the Nusrufus. I think he was Nuchanetz. He was being judged every day. He was in Gehenna, and you would see by his cave smoke coming out of the cave.
His father to
Nusrufus' father. I'm just saying if it's.
Ja,
but das ist nicht gewesen Joschke, das ist gewesen. Ich meine, das ist gewesen Nuchanetz. Okay, anyway, he was burning, but on Shabbos wasn't. Yeah, but there was no smoke coming out on Shabbos. So he knew it wasn't Shabbos. Listen, you're embarrassing me with this that you said he's being judged in Gehenna and Shabbos the smoke doesn't come out. He says, what are you doing? Anyway, Paul Mamish, that's what he was embarrassed.
He wasn't telling them. He was there.
It says in the pasuk, it sounds like it's two separate things. No, Shoyel Ev is the same thing as seeking the mason. What's the difference? Deidish al mason. Says Gemara Deidish al mason kidetani like Olin Tabraisa. The Deidish al mason is a hamar b'atzmai. Somebody who hungers himself, and he goes and he sleeps over in the Beis HaKvaris, so that the Tumendik spirit should rest on him. That's what they do, and that's what I was telling you. Anybody could bring the Ruch Tumah on them, but this is the way. Yeah, crazy things. It says, when Rabbi Akiva would come to this pasuk, he would cry. Somebody who hungers himself, he can bring the Ruach Tumah right away. By making himself hungry in the Beis HaKvaris, he gets the Tumah overnight. Somebody was hungert sich when it comes to that he wants a pure Ruach to be on him, should be 100%. Also like that. So why don't we have that? Why? Only by 2 months. So what should I do that our Avedas separated us from Hashem so far that even through hungering we don't get it. It's only because of your sins that caused that you should be separated. But otherwise we would have been able to do it. Abba said, yeah, Tumah is we're very close to it. Takes nothing. We're closer to the Tumah than the Tatara, so it's easier to get the Tumah. If the Tzaddikim want, they can create the world. It's only because our sins separated from Hashem, so we're not one with Hashem to have that koyach. Rava, Bara Gabra, there's Maram of Prague, he built the Gailam. Rava did the same. Rava, Bara Gabra, he created a person. And he sent it to Reb Zera. So Reb Zera starts speaking with him. It's not answering. But later, Reb Zera said, you are from the creations of Minor Chaverim. Go back to the ground. Yeah, I in there. That's it. Yep. Right. Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Yosef have Yosef called Mali Shabbat. Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Yosef would sit together every Erev Shabbos, and they would deal with the Kabbalah Sefer Yitzira, Mibilu Igla Tilsa, and they created either Egel like a third born, or third of its life. It's the best tasting one. Either it's the third Egel is the best tasting one, or if it's a third in its growth, then the Egel is the best. So they created on Erev Shabbos by learning Sefer Yitzira this Egel, the Egel Tilsa, the third Egel. Yeah, Bachlele. It was a good gegessen. Yeah, for us. He takes 7 different types of shichas zera and he puts it on his eyes. And that's how they start. It's somebody who does magic, faster than the eyes. I don't know what they call it. That the eye doesn't catch it. Right, but he plays it real good. Yeah. This is going, means he calculates the times, the hours when it's good. Today is good to go out. Tomorrow is a good time to buy. Go to the market. Limudei Arve Shvi Chitin Yofes. He says, but Shvi it's the derech that the chitin should be beautiful. Ikuri kitnius mehi Yisraelis. Uproot it. Don't cut the kitnius. take it out of the ground, uproot it, because that's when it won't rot and it won't be faver. What is the kishur of menachish? He says, oh, the bread fell out of my mouth, from his mouth. The stick fell from his hand. So this is a siman, yeah. His son is calling him from the back. A raven is calling him. A deer stopped him in the middle of the way. Or there's a snake on the right side. It's a bad siman. The shul mismaila. A fox is on the left. Terrible. Yeah. I'm not saying it's bad muscle. He says, don't start with me collecting the taxes. It's a bad siman. Shachrisu. He says because it's in the morning, or the shchidishu, or it's the shchidishu, it's Shabbasu. He doesn't want to be for the first. The first one is bad luck. That's how he looks at it. Don't do nichush or oinen. Like those that have menachish with a weasel, the avis, or with birds, or with dogim, and with fish. They make the simonim. Oh, I saw a chulda. It's not going to be a good day. Okay.